रामस्य
कर्माण्यद्भुतकर्मणः सायं प्रातरनन्तस्य विष्णोः सदयितो भवेत्
यो अनुस्मरेत रामस्य कर्माण्यद्भुतकर्मणा सायं प्रातरनन्तस्य विष्णुः सदयितो भवेत्
यो अनुस्मरेत रामस्य कर्माणि अद्भुतकर्मणा सायं प्रातरनन्तस्य विष्णुः सदयितो भवेत्
यो अनुस्मरेत रामस्य
कर्मण्यद्भुतकर्मणा
सायं प्रातरनन्तस्य
विष्णुः सदयितो भवेत् यो अनुस्मरेत रामस्य कर्माणि अद्भुतकर्मणा सायं प्रातरनन्तस्य विष्णुः सदयितो भवेत् यो अनुस्मरेत रामस्य कर्माणि अद्भुतकर्मणा सायं प्रातरनन्तस्य विष्णुः सदयितो भवेत्
whoever anusmareta regularly remembers Ramasya of Lord Balaram Karmani the activities Adbhuta amazing Karmanaha all of whose activities Sayam at dusk Pratah at dawn Anantasya who is unlimited Vishnoho to the Supreme Lord Vishnu Saha he Gaita dear Bhave becomes Translation and purport by disciples of His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. All the activities of the unlimited Lord Balaram are amazing. Anyone who regularly remembers them at dawn and dusk will become very dear to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Vishnu. Srila Prabhupada writes, Lord Balaram is the original Vishnu. Therefore, anyone remembering these pastimes of Lord Balaram in the morning and evening will certainly become a great devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thus his life will become successful in all respects. Thus end the purports of the humble servants of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, to the 10th canto, 79th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Lord Balaram Goes on a Pilgrimage. Jai Shri Balaram Ji Ki Jai. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a detailed description about the appearance of Lord Balaram. A more detailed description about the Balaram Tattva is there in the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, where Lord Nityananda Prabhu's Tattva is being mentioned. In that, Lord Balaramji's Tattva is described in precise detail. So today, in our session in the morning, on the occasion of Balaram Jayanti, we will discuss on the Balaram Tattva based on the Chaitanya Charitamrita and the Dasham Skandha. And then the Janma, Nama, Guna, Lila, etc. will be described by Sanat Kumar Prabhu and others in the evening. Sarva Avatari Krishna Swayam Bhagavan Tahara Dvitiya Deha Shri Balaram. So the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami explains that the original source of all avatars, the avatari, is Lord Krishna. Sarva Avatari Krishna Swayam Bhagavan is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Tahara Dvitiya Deha, and his another form which is equivalent to his potency and in terms of performing the pastimes is Shri Balaram. Dvitiya Deha. Externally, Lord Krishna and Balaram appear to be two different forms, but they actually are one Swarupa only. Eka Swarupe dohe bhinna matra kai adya kaya vyuha lilara sahai. So then the question arises, why Krishna has to manifest into another form? Ekai Swarupa dohe, both are same Swarupa. Bhinna matra kai, only externally Krishna appears to be in blackish complexion and Balaram ji appears to be in fair complexion. Bhinna matra kai, right? In Kumbh Mela, Srila Prabhupada was sitting in his tent and Tamal Krishna Maharaj came rushing to Srila Prabhupada and he said, Srila Prabhupada, there is an argument between Madhudusya Prabhu and Yamuna Devi. And Prabhupada said, what is the argument? And he said, Madhudusya Prabhu is saying the difference between Krishna and Balaram is Krishna is black and Balaram is white. Prabhupada said, he is right. So then Tamal Krishna Maharaj said, but Yamuna Devi, she is saying the difference between Krishna and Balaram is only Krishna enjoys with Radharani, not Balaramji. And Prabhupada said, she is right. So Tamal Krishna Maharaj got bewildered and he looked at Srila Prabhupada and said, Srila Prabhupada, both are saying two different things. How can both be right? And Prabhupada said, you are right. So then Tamal Krishna Maharaj looked at Prabhupada and said, Srila Prabhupada, what is the right answer? Prabhupada said, you decide. So Prabhupada at one point he said, they call me Prabhupada but treat me like problem Pad. So the intricacies of the philosophy are such that unless one hears in parampara from the proper authentic source, one will forever remain bewildered as to the multiplicity of forms, of roles, of the activities in our Vedic literatures. So therefore, only in the proper parampara we will be able to understand what this tattva is all about. So, ekai swarupe dohe bhinna matra kai. same Swarupa, two different forms are there. But why that expansion of Balaramji has happened? Adya Kaya Vyuha. So that through that expansion, Krishna himself has expanded into Balaramji, Krishna Lilara Sahai, so that he can assist in Krishna's Leela or pastime. So what is the understanding of Leela? Apurnasya nijapurtarthe cheshta iti karma. Karma or action or activities of the conditioned soul who are limited, who are trapped by birth, old age, disease and death, and within this material body, they are contained by apurnasya nijapurtarthe cheshta. The activities which we perform to fulfill our unfulfilled desires is called karma. If someone is feeling hungry, then they have to work, put some effort. Only with that effort the food can be created. Only then one can eradicate one's hunger. If one has to travel, then they have to make the effort. So without that effort, the fulfillment of desire cannot happen. Whereas Leela means simply by the will or the desire, all of one's heart's desires are fulfilled. So therefore, Krishna engages in Leela, whereas a conditioned soul engages in karma, or activities which are under the influence of the modes in the time factor. And so Balaramji manifests from Krishna Adya Vyuha Kaya, Adya Kaya Vyuha Krishna Lilara Saha, in order to assist Krishna in his pastimes. And so that same Lord Krishna appears in Navadvip as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Say Krishna Navadvipe Sri Chaitanya Chandra Say Balaram Sange Sri Nityananda. So Balaramji appears as Nityananda Ram. And so Kaviraj Goswami describes the tattva of Balaramji in this one verse. Sankarshana karanato yashayi garbhodashayi cha payobhishayi sheshasya yasyamscha kalascha nityam nanakya rama sharanam namastu. In this one beautiful verse, which is a very, very critical foundational verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita. And this verse is originally penned by Sri Swarup Damodar Goswami. The tattva of Balaramji is described. That Lord Balaramji manifests in 5 forms. 3 of these forms are to assist in the Srishti Leela, to assist in the Lord's pastimes of creation and maintaining of this material world. And then 2 other forms are, one is in the Vaikuntha, and the second is as Shesha, to ultimately assist the Lord in his unlimited pastimes. Shri Balaram Gosai Mula Sankarshan Pancharupa Dhari Koren Krishnira Sevan. So, Balaramji first manifests as Mula Sankarshan. He is the foundational or the root of all. Mula Sankarshan. And then Pancharupa Dhari. He manifests in 5 forms. Koren Krishnera Sevan. What are these 5 forms? That is described. अपने कोरेन कृष्ण लीला रसहाय सृष्टि लीला कार्य करे धुरी चारिकाय. So Balaram ji personally assists the Lord in his seva, in his pastimes. In direct Krishna Lila, Balaram ji is personally present, personally engages for seva to Krishna, but he manifests four other forms to assist in the creation. Srishti Lila Karya Kore Dhuri Charikai. Four forms in the Srishti Lila. Srishthyadika Seva Kara Kagyar Palan Sesharupe Kore Krishner Vividha Seva. So as Ananta Shesha, he engages in personal service to the Lord. Shesharupa Kore Krishnera Vividha Seva. Different types of services he does. But Srishthyadika Seva Kare Agyarapana. And he follows Krishna's instruction in the Srishti Leela, in executing Krishna's order for the creation. So we have, first of all, from Balaramji, manifests as Mula Sankarshan, and then from Mula Sankarshan comes the first form, Mahasankarshan. And then from Mahasankarshan, the forms expand as Karanodakshaya Vishnu or Mahavishnu, who is the Paramatma or Prakriti Antaryami, the Antaryami for the entire manifest cosmos. And then he manifests as Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, as described here, Karanatoyashai and Garbhodashai, which basically is the Brahmanda Antaryami, the one who is witness and controller of the entire universe. Within every universe is Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. And then he manifests as Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, Kshirodashai, Payodishai, Payogdhishai, which basically is Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, and he is the individual Jivatma, the Paramatma within the Jiva. And therefore, the Lord is the witness in all these forms, and these are all forms and expansions of Balaramji. So together, these five forms, which is the Mula Sankarshan, and then Mahasankarshan, the Sesha, the Mahasankarshan, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, and Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, and Mahavishnu. All these five together are engaged in serving the Lord. Sesha is engaged in serving the Lord in all of his spiritual activities, and in the material world, these other forms are active. So, the word Sesha basically means Ananta or unlimited, who assists the Lord in his unlimited services, in his unlimited forms, in unlimited varieties. And because of this, the Lord becomes pleased. So therefore, Balaramji is described as the Supreme Personality of Servitor Godhead. Supreme Personality of Servitor Godhead. And he serves Krishna in all of his affairs of existence and knowledge. The ultimate controlling deity of the Sandhini Shakti is Lord Balaram, the existence. and through that existence to be able to find the source of that existence, the essence of that existence. And so, how do we find Krishna Sandhan? That is the ultimate idea of Sandhini. Krishna Sandhan means, Sandhan basically means clue. How do we get the clue as to where is Krishna, the source of all that is manifest? So Balaramji assists and helps in that. So therefore, Balaramji is the servitor god that serves Krishna in all these affairs. And whatever Balaramji is performing in Krishna Lila, Lord Nityananda Prabhu is performing the same activities in assisting Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sarvarupe asvadaye Krishna sevananda Say Balarama Gaura Sangye Nityananda. So Balaramji assists Lord Krishna and Lord Nityananda Prabhu assists Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And so it is described here that in the spiritual world the expansion from Lord Balaram is Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna and Aniruddha. Taha Yera Mera Rupa Mahasankarshan Chita Shakti Ashray Timu Karane Karan. So, from the first Chaturvyuha, the manifestation of the second quadruple expansion happens. And that is the Maha Sankarshan. Chitta Shakti Ashrati Ho Karane Karan. And he becomes the source of cause of all causes. And this Maha Sankarshan thus becomes the source of four main things. This Maha Sankarshan is the personification of the source of Shuddha Sattva, which sustains the entire spiritual creation. Mahasankarshan is also the personification of the source of the Shad Aishwarya, the six opulences, Bhaga, which ultimately is the attributes of the spiritual world. Then this Mahasankarshan is also the sum total of all the jivas, the samasta jivas, who manifest from him. And he is the original shelter of the Purusha, or the samsara, the world created, dissolved, and ultimately shelter of everything. So in this way, Kaviraj Goswami says, Sarvashraya sarvadbhuta aishwarya apar ananta kohite nare mahima jahan. This Mahasankarshan is Sarva Ashray. He is giving shelter to all. Sarva Ashray and Sarva Adbhuta Aishwarya, source of all the Aishwaryas, as described, the six opulences: strength, fame, riches, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation. Ananta kohite nare mahima apar. And his mahima, his glories, his energies, his power, his strength, his potencies are unlimited. And it is impossible to describe them. So Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan describes that the material manifestation is a partial kingdom of God. And the Supreme Lord comes to execute certain functions. So Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan asked the question, from where does the material nature manifest? And what could be the limits of the powers of material nature? And he says, the material nature cannot be supplier of material elements, And the material nature cannot be the cause of material elements. So therefore, he quotes from the Bhagavatam, Jagrihe Paurusham Rupam Bhagavan Mahadadini Sambhutam Shodashakalam Adav Lokasasrikshayam. So ultimately, it is the Supreme Lord who is the source of all of these energies. And Krishna becomes the cause of all causes. And he is the supplier of all these material elements. Sambhuta Shodashakalam. So the 16 energies are described by Shripad Madhvacharya as Shri, Bhu, Leela, Kanti, Kirti, Tushti, Gir, Pushti, Satya, Jnana Jnana, Jaya Utkarshini, Vimala, Yogamaya, Prabhuvi, Ishana, Anugraha, which is Kripa Shakti. And interestingly, the renunciation or Vairagya is one of the potencies. The technical name given by all the acharyas is Tushti, which is satisfaction. That means the principle of renunciation is based on satisfaction. Only when one is satisfied, there can be renunciation. Baladev Vidyabhushan describes 9 names for these energies: Vimala, Utkarshini, Jnana, Kriya, Yoga, Prabhuvi, Satya, Ishana and Anugraha. And Srila Jiva Goswami also takes the same principle and gives a few different twists to the name. Sri Pushti Gir Kanti, Kirti Tushti Ila, Jaya, Vidya Vidya, Maya, Sambhit Sandhini Ladini, Bhakti, Murti, Vimala, Yoga, Prabhuvi, Ishana and Anugraha. So it is Srila Jiva Goswami's understanding that we get this Sandhini, Sambhit, Ladini from the Puranas, and he includes that here in the list of the 16 energies. Etadeshanamishasya prakritisthopi tadgunai na yujyate sadatmasthai vida buddhirtanashraya. So this is a very, very important verse from the Bhagavatam, that the Supreme Lord himself is transcendental, spiritual, but he is the cause of the material energy. Prakriti sthopi tadgune na yujyate sadatmasthai. And therefore, even those who are inspired by the Supreme Lord, those who are pure devotees of the Supreme Lord, they remain detached from influence of material nature. And therefore the Lord himself naturally will never remain influenced and affected by material nature, although he is the source of material nature. Panchashat koti yojana prithvi vistar jar ek phane rahe sharshap akar. So now it is described that Lord Balaram, in his form as Ananta, is the one holding this entire material universe. So the universe dimension is described as 500 million yojanas in diameter. Panchashat koti yojana prithvi vistar. And so this entire creation is in this form. Jar ek phane rahe sarsap akar. But this universe, which is 500 million yojanas in diameter, lies on one hood of Ananta Shesha like a mustard seed. That's the beauty. And so he sustains all the planets on innumerable hoods. And Srila Prabhupada writes in his purport that the scientists who explain about the law of gravity should understand that this law of gravity is nothing but a partial explanation of Lord Sankarshan's energy. Like that. Sai Vishnu Shesha Rupe Dhare na dharani Kaha ache maheshire na nahi jani. And therefore, that same Vishnu in the form of Shesha, he holds Dharena Dharani, holds the planets. Kaha ache maheshire hena nahi jani. And nobody can actually understand how these planets are being held. Saito Ananta Shesha Bhakta Avatar Ishware Seva Bina Nahi Jane Aan. And so this Ananta Shesha, Saito Ananta Shesha Bhakta Avatar, manifests as an avatar who's in the mood of a bhakta. And Ishware Seva Bina Nahi Jane Aan. He does not know anything apart from service to the Lord. So Ananta Shesha, he is holding these unlimited universes on his hood. And as he is holding these unlimited universes on the hood, and the universes contain millions and millions of souls who are trying to enjoy independent of Krishna, who are trying to rebel against Krishna, who have forgotten the original purpose of their creation, that they are ultimately meant to be Mamaivangsho Jivaloki Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. They are supposed to be the eternal servants of the Lord, and they have forgotten that. So not only is Ananta holding these universes with all those souls within, but Lord Ananta is also continuously describing the glories of the Lord through his unlimited mouths and tongues. Since time immemorial, and since time immemorial he is describing the Lord's glories and has not come anywhere close to completion. And therefore, this Ananta Shesha is the source of unlimited strength and power to hold this universe, and is also the source for all of those who aspire to speak the glories of Krishna. And therefore, Lord Ananta Shesha is the ultimate benedictor for giving potency to describe Krishna Katha and Krishna's glories. Bhuter mahadbhir ya imapuro vibho nirmaya shete yadamushu purusha bhumte gunan shodasha shodashatmakam so alam krishishta bhagavan vachansi me. When Srila Shukadeva Goswami is speaking the Srimad Bhagavatam to Maharaj Parikshit, he invokes the Lord's potency to benedict him with the power to speak Krishna Katha. Because to speak Krishna Katha, one needs to be blessed by the Lord and his potency. And the source of that potency is Ananta Shesha. And therefore, for all of us who are trying to spread Krishna consciousness by speaking Krishna Katha, by sharing Krishna with others, today is the day we need to really take shelter of Lord Balaramji in his form of Ananta Shesha, who is the original Kathakar, the origin of all those who can speak and glorify Krishna. Like that. So, Srila Prabhupada was sitting in the midst of a few Gurukul children. At that time, two scholars entered. They were Sanskrit scholars. And when they approached Srila Prabhupada, the devotee who brought these two scholars introduced them, saying that these two, they are experts in Veda. They have studied the Vedas. So Prabhupada said, okay, if you have studied the Vedas, can you tell who is God? Who is the Supreme Lord? So these two Vedic Pandits looked at each other and they looked at Srila Prabhupada and they said, Swamiji, this is a very complex topic. You cannot expect a simplistic answer that who is God in one word. So Prabhupada called one Gurukul boy who was playing nearby. And the Gurukul boy came running. And on Prabhupada's table there was a glass jar filled with laddus. And Prabhupada placed his hand on that glass jar, looked at this Gurukul boy and said, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead? The boy looked at where Prabhupada's hand was. And he realized, if I give the right answer, I have got a bright future. And immediately with full enthusiasm he said, Krishna! Prabhupada immediately took out one laddu, gave it to that boy and said, very good, excellent. Again Prabhupada placed his hand on the jar, looked at the boy again and said, who is Krishna? The boy again looked at Prabhupada's hand and thought, why is this Krishna coming between me and the laddu again and again? He said, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prabhupada said, Shabash, excellent, take one more laddu. Go. And Prabhupada turned to these two scholars. And Prabhupada said, in our Gurukul, even a small child knows who is the Supreme Personality of God. So the two scholars started protesting and they said, Swamiji, but they don't know how Krishna is the Supreme Lord. Prabhupada said, even Krishna himself doesn't know that. Because by the time he comes to realize his glories have expanded. And that is the problem also Anantashesh faces. That by the time he starts describing Krishna's glories, the glories have expanded. And so, Ishwarera seva vina nahi jane aar is only engrossed in serving the Supreme Lord in this form. And so, it is described here that he is the bearer of the globes, the potent incarnation of Sankarshan, and is also the bedstead servitor, eternal servitor of the Lord. And so that is the reason why before Krishna appears, after the 6 sons have been killed of Devaki, the Shadgarbhas, Balaramji appears. Because Balaramji serves Krishna in 10 forms. And one of the forms is he becomes Krishna's bed also. So therefore, why Balaramji appears in the womb of Devaki after the Shadgarbhas is for 2 reasons. One is to purify the womb and make the womb appropriate, spiritually potent for Krishna's appearance. And second is he leaves behind Ananta Shesha as the bed for the Lord to appear. And that's how, then Yogamaya transfers and everything. Krishna jabe avatare sarvamsha ashray sarva amshya sitave Krishna te milay. So when Krishna personally appears, Krishna jabe avatare sarvamsha ashray, all his portions and plenary portions, they all join during Krishna's appearance. Sarva amsha asitave Krishna te milay. And therefore, we should understand Jai Jai Rupe Jani Say Taha Kohe Sakala sambhave Krishne kichu mithya nahe. So sometimes one may get bewildered that this Ram is Balaram or elder brother, of Ramachandra, or is it Lakshman, or what exactly this is. So Prabhupada mentions in his translation, in whatever forms one knows Krishna, one speaks of him in that way. In this way there is no falsity, since everything is possible in Krishna. Sakala sambhave Krishna kichu mithya nahi. So therefore, in the purport of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Prabhupada directly mentions an incident that when he was in Hyderabad, someone came up and said, this Ram, is it Balaram or is it Ramachandra Vayodhya? Right. So then Prabhupada mentions this particular verse. Sakala sambhave Krishna kichu mithya nahi. Jai jai rupe jane sei taha. So like that, Murari Gupta also was trying that how I can develop attachment towards the form of Krishna. But in spite of his best efforts, he could not move his bhava. And so ultimately, he was worshipping Lord Ram only. In fact, Anupam, who was the younger brother of Uruk and Sanatan, also was a very, very dedicated devotee of Lord Ram. And although being in the association of Rupa and Sanatan, but still he continued maintaining that till the very end. Rupa and Sanatan only tell him, Baba, you continue worshipping Ram. You can't artificially change that. So therefore, in this way, it is described that all of these forms ultimately manifest from Krishna, and Krishna is always full. Swashanta rupeshu itaraiswarupai abhyardamaneshu anukampitatma paravaresho mahadamsha yukto yajopi jato bhagavan yathami. So this beautiful verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam describes what is the impetus for Krishna to appear within this material world. And the impetus is very, very powerful when a devotee is disturbed. That means a disturbance of a devotee. So both have to be genuine. Disturbance has to be genuine and devotee has to be genuine. So when a genuine, authentic devotee is genuinely disturbed, so that is described here, harassed, abhyardamaneshu. Abhyardamaneshu, when he is harassed, that is the word used, harassed. Swashanta rupeshu. So devotee is described here as Swashanta Rupa, one who is perfectly peaceful. Why is he considered Swashanta? Because a karmi has disturbance, has a desire, has an ambition. He wants some achievement, some accomplishment. A dhyani also has some desire. He is looking for liberation. A yogi also has some desire. They are looking for perfection, siddhi. So therefore, bhukti, mukti, siddhi, kami, sakala, ashanta. Krishna bhakta, nishkama, atha eva shanta. So therefore, a devotee is described as swashanta rupeshu. He is the personification of peace. And unto such a devotee, itarai swarupair. So itarai means other non-devotees. So other non-devotees, then Prabhupada describes in his purport is, in the past, devotee, Swashanta Rupa devotee like Prahlad was Abhyardamaneshu, harassed by a karmi and jnani like Hiranyakashipu. So Prabhupada categorizes Hiranyakashipu under karmi and jnani because he was also very knowledgeable. So karmi and jnani like Hiranyakashipu disturbed Prahlad, because of which the Lord appeared. It became the impetus for the Lord to appear. And then he says, a yogi like Durvasa disturbed a Swashanta Rupa devotee like Amrish. Okay. So Abhyardamaneshu Anukampitatma, because the Lord is supremely compassionate. And Parabaresho Mahadamsha Yukto Yajo Pijato Bhagavan Yathagni. Just like sticks potentially have fire, but then when there is a disturbance, impetus, then the fire comes out. Like that, the Lord manifests at the appropriate moment. And therefore, when the Lord appears with all of his expansions, Narayana, Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, and all the incarnations, like Nrsimhadev, Vamana, Kurma, etc. So that is why the Lord manifests in this world, and all of them appeared in this world from Mula Sankarshan. And so, one may think, so that means they are more powerful or not? So Prabhupada says that all different incarnations can manifest by his supreme will, via that route, even in the presence of Krishna. Therefore, the great sages have glorified the Lord by different names. The source of all incarnations is also, when sometimes described as an incarnation, there is no discrepancy. Ataeva Shri Krishna Chaitanya Gosai Sarva Avatar Lila Kori Samare Dikhai. And therefore, that Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Sarva Avatar Lila Kari Samare Dikhai. When Lord Chaitanya appeared, he demonstrated pastimes where all different incarnations glimpse was manifest. Eirupe Nityananda Ananta Prakash Sei Bhave Kohe Mui Chaitanya Radas. So, the expansion, when in Krishna Lila known as Balaramji, in Lord Chaitanya's Lila it is Nityananda. Eirupe Nityananda Ananta Prakash, demonstrating his unlimited potencies, still being all powerful, all potent. But what is his bhava? Sai bhava kahe mui Chaitanya Radas. I am all potent, all powerful, but I prefer to be in the mood of a servant. So therefore, this is the mood of Shri Nityananda Prabhu and Balaramji. Kabhu Guru, Kabhu Sakha, Kabhu Bhritya Lila, Purve Jena Tina Bhave, Braje Koila Khela. So sometimes in Vatsalya Bhav, sometimes in Sakhya, sometimes in Dasya. In this way, constantly engage in these pastimes, just for serving and pleasing Krishna. So sometimes Balaramji would be in the mood of a sakha. So the cowherd boys would fight with each other just like bulls and making the sound of bulls and butting their head against each other. Sometimes Balaramji, he would feel tired and he would place his head on one of the cowherd boys' lap. And then Krishna would personally start serving and massaging that lotus feet. Sometimes Balaramji would start massaging other cowherd boys. And then Krishna. In the Brahma Vimohan Leela, Brahmaji is bewildered. How are these different manifestations of all the cowherd boys and the cows? And then he comes to the conclusion that yes, Nanya Mepi Vimohini. I got bewildered and I could not detect because it is Krishna himself who is engaging in his pastimes. She must be the illusory energy of my master. Keyam vakuta ayatam daivivang nari ivasuri. What is this? What potency is this? What manifestation is this? What is this mystic power? Where has she come from? Prayo mahastu me bhartur. And he says, oh, my bhartur, my master, Nanya me Pili Mohini, must be the energy and potency of my master. Only then I could not understand. So that is his tattva always, that I am the servant of my master Krishna. When Samba got attracted to Lakshmana and kidnapped Lakshmana, the Kuru leaders held Samba captive. And at that time, Balaramji told all the Yadavas, in Dwarka that, you don't worry, I will go and negotiate. So he goes. And he was very confident of his relationship with Duryodhana and he thought, what will happen? They will immediately surrender to me. They will agree and release. So the Kauravas welcome Balaramji with great respect and offer the proper protocol of respect. But when Balaramji mentions to them, please release Samba, they become upset. And they start saying, how can a shoe aspire to sit on the head of a crown? So they are comparing the Yadavas to the shoe. So Balaramji becomes very angry, very upset, and he goes on hearing. And then finally, one of the things which irritates Balaramji the most is the Kauravas, they explain, as far as you are concerned, it is fine, but we do not have faith in Krishna. So they try to make a division between Krishna and Balaram. So the Acharyas make a very important point. Hearing the criticism of someone in two conditions. What are the two conditions? When we hear some criticism of somebody, number one, in the absence of that person. Number two, without any intention of improving that person. In the absence of someone and without the intention of improving that person, when we hear the criticism of someone, that hearing of that criticism will only weaken two people. The person who is hearing will get weakened and it will also weaken the mission. So therefore Balaramji, at that particular point, when he hears about criticism of Krishna, his master, his Lord, he becomes very angry. And he demonstrates that when one hears such criticism, how should one respond? One should respond with fearless logic and reason and demonstrate one's loyalty. And so Balaramji hits back at the Kauravas and explains in great detail, Yasyangri pankajarajo akhila loka palai. And you are talking about, why Samba must be released. And when I am saying that Krishna is requesting this and you are questioning this, Do you know who's Krishna? And you are thinking that Krishna has some aspiration to usurp your throne here? Or he has some attraction, or is getting affected by your power of this throne of Hastinapur? Yasyandri Pankaja Raja, the dust of Krishna's lotus feet, Akhila Loka Palai, all the Brahmanda Swamis, the biggest demigods, Maulyuttamair Dhritamupasita Tirtha Tirtham, all of those leaders of the demigods, the 33 crore demigods and all the powerful leaders amongst them, they are constantly aspiring to take that dust and place it on their forehead, on their helmets. Maulyuttamaya dhritam. Upasita. And they want to worship that. And they worship that dust as tirtha tirtham, having the power to purify even holy place. Maulyuttamaya dhritam upasita tirtha tirtham. And then he says that not just all those 33 crore demigods, but amongst them, Brahma bhavoham apiyasya kala kalaya shristodvahema chiramasya nripasanam tvam. Even Brahmaji, Shivji, myself, Balaram says, and Lakshmi Devi Shri, chiram asya. For eternity we want to carry that dust upon our head, not that we want to just worship and serve Krishna for some time till we attain a certain position. Our aspiration to serve Krishna's lotus feet is not temporary, it is not selfish, it is not for obtaining a certain position, it is not a means to some other end. Chiram, Shrishcha Udvahema, Chiram Asya. Eternally we want to carry that because we want to establish ourselves as His eternal servants. Nripasanam. So you think, that Krishna who is served and worshipped by this list of people, he would be interested in that kingly throne, royal throne of Hastinapur? Nonsense. And then when one starts expressing one's anger, the nature of anger is just like fire, it goes on increasing. So Balaramji's anger also went on increasing and increasing and increasing. And it went beyond control. And finally he realized, no point giving lecture. Because lecture can be given to human beings. Right? If a bunch of animals is standing here, of course, I have to be politically sensitive while sharing this example. But the word says, Pashunam labudo yatha. Okay. So you can refer to the translation yourself. At the right time we are hearing background music. So Pashunam. So when you hear the sound or any misbehavior of the Pashu, it's not possible to stand and, explain to them very nicely. Will you be quiet, please? Can you keep quiet? No. So therefore, Balaramji becomes very upset and he says, Labudo yatha. So he takes his hull and puts it straight into the earth of Hastinapur and drags the whole of Hastinapur into Jayanti. And as he is dragging, that is the time the Kauravas realized that it is emergency. And they rush and fall at the feet of Balaramji and pacify him. And so Vishwanath Chakravarti quotes this incident in describing the power of holy name, Harinam, in Ajamil pastime, in the verse which says, Gurunam cha lagunam cha, Guruni cha laguni cha. That for big papa, big prayashchit. Small papa, small prayashchit is described in Dharma Shastras. Right. But then in Ajamil's case, he was so papi and he didn't even know that there are Dharma Shastras in the sense that he was not conscious of trying to do any prayashchitta. He just chanted the name of Narayana. But that chanting of name of Narayana without offense purified him, that Namabhas, it purified him to such an extent that all big and small papas were taken care automatically. And then Chakravarti Pad quotes in that shlokas purport this pastime. Just like Balaramji was irritated and angry with many Kauravas, all the Kauravas, some were big powerful Kauravas, some were weak Kauravas, he was upset with all of them. He did not bother to individually punish each one. The big one come first, the small one come first. No. He took the whole of Hastinapur and threw into the Yamuna. So he says like that, when you chant the holy name, it is the way Balaramji dragged and punished the entire Hastinapur one shot. Like that, chanting of holy name has total effect immediately. You know, another place, somebody was giving example, just like when there is severe riots. Okay, when there is severe riots, initially, you know, the police may come and make some announcement, that doesn't work, then you throw tear gas shell, doesn't work, then you start lathi charge, doesn't work, you start shooting, doesn't work. Then army tank will come in. When army tank comes, everybody. So in Kali Yuga, the riot inside the mind is so loud that, you know, the holy name is like that army tank. So therefore this particular verse of Baladevji punishing the entire Hastinapur Vasis in response to their insult of Krishna, of questioning Krishna's supremacy, is underlining this tattva. Ekale Ishvara Krishna ar sabhrityam jare jaiche na chaye se taiche kare nritya. That ultimately the one Supreme Lord is Krishna and everyone else is his servant. So Balaramji also serves in the mood of being Krishna's servant. So why Balaramji appears as elder brother? So in the previous Yuga, in Ramalila, Lord Ram engaged Lakshman in various services which Lakshman did not like, which was very painful. Ramira charitra sab dukkhira karan swatantra lilaya dukkha sahena Lakshman. So, Lord Ram underwent a lot of difficulties and challenges. And Swatantra, although Lakshman was Swatantra, but still dukkha sahena, he was in the mood of servant. So Lord Ram was the one who told Lakshman that you organize the Agni Pariksha. You go and leave Sita Devi in the ashram of Vishwamitra Muni, Valmiki Muni. So all of these kind of things, they are very, very painful for Lakshman. So he did not want that. That in the next avatar when I come, let me be in a position where I will be elder, so that I can serve to my heart's extent. It is not that I want to be elder to avoid seva. So that's a very important detail to be mentioned. Krishna avatare jeshta hoila sevar karan, Krishna ke koraila nana sukha asvadan. He wanted to engage in sukha asvadan of Krishna ke koraila sevar karan, to engage in that seva. So therefore, jeshta hoila. So Vishnu Dharmottara describes Ram as Vasudeva, Lakshmana as Sankarshan, Bharat as Pradyumna and Shatrughna as Aniruddha. Padma Puran describes Ram as Narayan, Lakshmana as Shesha, Bharat as Chakra and Shatrughna as Shankar. And Skanda Puran describes that Lakshman, Bharat and Shatrughna were triple attendants of Lord Rama. Like that. Sai Amshalaya Jeshtha Kanishtha Abhiman Amsha Amshi Rupe Shastre Koraye Vyakhya. Sai Amshalaya Jeshtha Kanishtha Abhiman. So Krishna and Balaram appear as younger and older. Kanishta is Krishna, elder brother is Balaram. Kanishta, Jeshtha, Abhiman. But they are actually Amsha Amshi Rupe Shastre Koreya. Krishna is the Amshi and Amsha is Balaramji, the Supreme Lord and his expansion. Like that. Sri Chaitanya Sai Krishna Nityananda Ram Nityananda Purna Kore Chaitanya Rakam. And so that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna and Balaramji appears as Nityananda. Nityananda Purna Kore Chaitanya Rakam, and he fulfills all the desires of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in this particular pastime when he appears as Nityananda. So therefore, on the occasion of Shri Balaram Jayanti, we are extremely blessed to get this opportunity to worship Sri Krishna and Balaramji and understand that Balaramji is in the mood of Supreme Personality of Servitor Godhead. And Srila Prabhupada in Vrindavan Dham, ISKCON Vrindavan, established the deities of Krishna and Balaram. And he said, why? He said, Krishna has given the sword of knowledge, but one may not have the strength to pick up that sword. And to pick up that sword, we need the strength. That strength is given by Balaramji. Only then we can actually use that sword. And so then Prabhupada, he also saw that the place where Krishna Balaram ISKCON temple is there, it is Raman Reti, the place where Krishna and Balaram along with cowherd boys have engaged in various pastimes. So therefore, he thought it appropriate to establish deities of Krishna Balaram. Then Prabhupada would ask, who is more powerful, Krishna or Balaram? By seeing this, beautiful deities, when you see, you're seeing Krishna and Balaram like that. Balaramji is standing like this. Right? So Balaram is Bala. So someone said Balaram is more powerful. Prabhupada said, see, Balaram is placing his hand on Krishna. Krishna is holding that. So he is holding Balaram's Bala also. So Krishna is more powerful. So the deities of Krishna and Balaram were installed in Ram Navami, on Ram Navami 1975 or 76. So just before that, in the December marathon, they had announced all over the world that whoever will distribute maximum number of books and become world number 1 in book distribution score, the top 3 people would get the opportunity to stand right in front during the installation of Krishna Balaram deities during that festival. Because thousands of people would be there. So you will get top spot right in front. And because this knowledge represents Balaramji, so you will get to see Krishna and Balaram right from the front. So all over the world, the marathon that year was especially more competitive because there was an incentive. And it was paid ticket, sponsored ticket to come to Vrindavan for the opening. So the marathon was very intensely, fought. Thousands and thousands of books were distributed. Finally, the devotee who came the top, he was very, very enthusiastic and he was standing right in front. So this was the Ram Navami day. The governor of UP had been invited for the inauguration and he was standing right in front. These devotees, 2-3 devotees who had distributed books and came top in marathon, they were also standing. The whole temple hall was empty because they said, okay, first the important guests have to stand in place and then the rest of the public will be allowed. So they had made kind of a cordon, something like that. But you know how the cordons work when the crowds come in. So when they opened the doors, along with the devotees, thousands of local people also came in and they rushed in with such an enthusiasm, the way crowds enter into temples. And as they say, there was like a whole lot of dhakka-mukhi and the governor slipped entered. And the devotees and the guards who were surrounding him had to bring him on his feet. And the governor was in front and these 2-3 other people who were involved in becoming the number one in the book distribution. And they were feeling very privileged that, oh, we are getting this special spot. And this devotee was pretty tall. And then the arti began, because the darshan opened at arti time. The first darshan of Krishna Balaram, and Prabhupada is doing his arti. And there is this lady devotee with this camera in her hand. And she's trying her best in the middle of that crowd because she has to first handle herself, then the camera, and to make sure that the crowd doesn't, snatch the camera away or throw it here and there. And she's trying for an exact position to take Prabhupada's picture. And those are expert photographers. They won't just take from anywhere. Nowadays everybody is photographer. But those who have that professional bhav, they want to make sure that everything is proper and the people are in the right position, and angle and the lighting and this and that. So she was not getting satisfaction that this is the right spot. Because the exact spot where she wanted to stand was where this number one book distributor was standing. And so, she was getting some angle, but she was not getting that confidence. So she thought, I should just request this devotee to step back and I should come here. But she was thinking, what will he respond? What will he say? But the arti was continuing and there was less time. So she tapped this devotee from behind. He turned back and she said, can you allow me to stand in your position and you can come back so that I can take the picture of Srila Prabhupada doing this arti? He looked at this lady who was making this request and said, are you mad? Do you know what I have gone through in December? -10, -15 degrees centigrade on the streets I have been distributing only with one intention, so that at this moment I am able to relish the darshan of Srila Prabhupada doing this arti right from the front without any hindrance. I have worked for this. Okay? So this lady thought, okay, he has his point, but she thought, let me try. Because ultimately we have to keep trying. So she said, Prabhu, if you stand there and take darshan, only you will get darshan of Prabhupada. If you allow me to stand here and take a photo, millions of devotees in future will get darshan of Prabhupada. What do you say? He thought for some time. And all the December marathon flashed through his mind. But he also considered what this devotee was saying. He said, all right. I stepped back. And he allowed this lady to come forward, stand in his position, right in front. And she clicked the famous photo of Prabhupada with all the garlands and the kurta. He's offering the... How many of you have seen that picture? So what this lady said was actually appropriate. That if you allow me to stand here, I will take a perfect picture for thousands of devotees in future to see the darshan of Krishna and Balaram. Right? And then, of course, the governor was given good lunch and everything. But then he was called for Hyderabad temple later. He said, no, very dangerous. So the Krishna Balaram temple opening was one of the most popular and happening event of that particular time. And Srila Prabhupada wanted that. Then Gurijan Prabhu and Jagat Tarini Devi, they were in a yatra with Radhanath Maharaj and all of us. And we were at Ram Ghat. Jaya Rama Ghata Jaya. Rohini Nandan. So we were at Ram Ghat, and I think it was Jagat Tarini Devi who was speaking. And she quoted that when they were in charge of one of the projects somewhere and they were going through lots of difficulties, lots of problems, lots of challenges in their service. Right? Because Brahmaji says, Chandrika Vishida Smere Sagaruna Panga Vikshite Swakarta Nivara Sattvaabhyam Srishtipanata. When you come in front of the deities, the glance of the deities creates desires to serve. And then you start serving. When you start serving, there are challenges and difficulties. And those challenges and difficulties in the service may create impediment in your enthusiasm. It may sow some doubts. Should I continue this service? It is good doing this service. And when one becomes discouraged in their service, when one feels helpless in their service, and they actually began the service because of the glance of Krishna. So, glance of Krishna made me start the service. Now I should not look at Krishna with angry glance. Why you made me start this service? So when one feels helpless in one's service, one has to only look at the smile of Krishna. The smile of Krishna conveys a message to the devotee who is taking darshan. That in your devotional service, in your current circumstances, in the current nature of activities which are engaged in your seva, you may be feeling helpless, but don't feel hopeless. You may be helpless, but you may not become hopeless. And so, that smile of Krishna signifies encouragement. That I am with you. Tomara sevaya dukkha hoye yata seito parama sukha seva sukha dukkha parama sampada nashaye avidya dukkha. That sukha and dukkha which we experience in seva will be the cause of destroying our ignorance. Right? So now the question arises that, oh, he's just smiling. For him it is so easy to smile. But is he also providing any solution? Any method? Any medicine? Any pill? Any technique which we can take shelter of when we are experiencing excruciatingly difficult times in our service and situation? So Jagat Tarini Devi and Gurijan Prabhu at that time quoted Srila Prabhupada. And they said, when they would tell Prabhupada, oh, it's too much, this service is becoming too much, this situation is becoming too much, and becoming helpless, Prabhupada would say, when you are experiencing great difficulty, all you have to do is do one thing. Come come in front of Lord Balaram. And when you come in front of Lord Balaram, please express to Balaram, my dear Lord Balaram, I am having this difficulty, challenge, problem, a big hindrance, obstacle in my ability to serve your Lord Krishna. Please help me. And simply when you offer this helpless prayer to Balaramji, I want to serve Krishna, but I am not able to serve Krishna because of A, B, C, X, Y, Z reasons. Can you help me? Please help me. Please take care. So Balaramji takes the responsibility with his bal, with his power, to remove those obstacles and make the path smooth for your devotional service to progress in pleasing his master, Krishna. Right? And it's a very, very potent method, and it's a very, very powerful way by which we can engage in serving our Lord and Master, Sri Krishna. So, on the occasion of Balaram Jayanti, let us pray to Sri Balaramji to offer us his divine grace so that we are able to engage in service of the lotus feet of Shri Shri Radha Vrindavan Bihari Ji, Shri Radha Madan Mohan Ji, Shri Radha Gopinath, Shri Radha Ras Bihari, Radha Girdhari, Radha Madhav, all of our deities, our worshipable deities, and please the Vaishnavas and overcome all the obstacles which may come in the course of our devotional journey. Even though we may become helpless, let us never become hopeless, because the Vaishnava Sangha is the personification of all Gopa, and Balaramji is the personification of Bala, or strength. And so we are very grateful to Srila Prabhupada for revealing these internal secrets of Balaram Tattva. And we are grateful to Srila Prabhupada that in 1973, the translation and writing of purports of Srimad Bhagavatam was going at full swing. Srila Prabhupada took a pause and then focused on Chaitanya Charitamrita. And for the next 2 years, in that 73-75 period, Srila Prabhupada started writing translations and commentaries of Chaitanya Charitamrita in English language. Because many of these esoteric truths are revealed in detail in Chaitanya Charitamrita. And thanks to that, then Srila Prabhupada also mentioned to them, you published these 17 volumes in 2 months or something very, very almost impossible. And they did that. So we are also grateful to all of those devotees, disciples of Srila Prabhupada, who really surrendered to Srila Prabhupada's desire and made his dreams come true and gave us access to these literatures, by which we are able to get some glimpse about what this Balaram Tattva is all about. And here at Govardhan Eco-Village, we are also very especially happy that today on Balaram Jayanti we have Balaram Shakti Prabhu, who has manifested to give his divine darshan to all of us after a long time. On behalf of all the devotees and all the cows at Govardhan Eco-Village, I would like to welcome Balaram Shakti Prabhu to GED by loudly chanting Haribol! 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 Shri Balaram Ji ki Jai! Shri Balaram Jayanti Maha Mahotsav ki Jai! Thai God Premanande! Srila Prabhupada ki Jai! Jai His Jai